Hello everyone and welcome back to Beyond the Veil background information. I'm trying to be a bit more personable when I speak at the moment rather than just reading out the script, so I apologise if I laugh a lot or sound very strange. Anyway, on this episode we're going to talk about the Archangel Gabriel. If you're on Patreon, you're getting this in February, and if you're on YouTube, you're getting it in March. So, enjoy, let's get started. When Padel arrived, he saw a being that was more feminine than simply androgynous, standing there waiting, wings as white as cumulus clouds, eyes flaming, yet face and form echoing nothing but gentility and comfort. The sight of the Archangel made Padel's heart sink. Gabriel had been sent to him because someone had found out, and now Padel had put his charge at risk. But always Gabriel's arm wrapped about him in comfort and understanding. Gabriel always believed in the best of all beings. It's an excerpt from Cruel Temptations, which eventually is going to go up on Patreon. I've done all the planning, but I haven't actually written out the chapters yet. Perhaps the most well-known of angels, and the one most often portrayed these days as feminine compared to all other angels, Gabriel is a name and a being so significant that there's even a Christmas song about him. There is a lot to cover with an angel with such an important role as the messenger of God. This means it can be really hard to go over it, so I'm going to just go over it as basically as possible. Otherwise this would get complicated, and I'm really talking to you about the information I use of Gabriel, and then how I use him in my text. So having a philosophical debate on who believes this or that about Gabriel, it's pointless, so we'll just stick to the information I have and then how I use it. Now, Gabriel's name has a rough meaning of strong man of God, or strength of God. His name has a few variations with, and I apologise if I pronounce this wrong, Gabriel being the Arabic variant. Gabriel is an archangel and is often listed as the second named angel after Michael, and is in the Old Testament, New Testament and in the Quran. His role in each is to give the word or orders of God across, from explaining the visions of Daniel to telling Mary about the conception and giving revelations to the prophet. That is the Prophet Muhammad. I will refer to him often just as the prophet. For this reason, he is often deemed the Archangel of Revelations, the angel of communicators, from ambassadors to people working on the radio. He is also quite unique for being one of the few archangels with an almost consistent description of clothed in blue or white garments, carrying a lily, a trumpet, a scroll, a shining lantern, a branch from paradise, or a sceptre of some kind upon them, let alone having a shining countenance. He also is considered among the 7 mysteries in the Church of Latter-day Saints, just to mention once more how important he is in religious texts, as in this church he purportedly lived a mortal life, previously being Noah. Now, we're going to go through the text and his role, and we'll start in Judaism. He is referred to as the man in linen in the book of Daniel and the book of Ezekiel. I used male whilst discussing the references in this section. In Daniel he reveals the meanings behind Daniel's dreams, and in Ezekiel he is the angel sent to destroy Babylon. According to some books of Jewish law, Gabriel takes the form of a man and stands on the left hand of God, and is one of the angels of Israel. In Kabbalah, he is linked to the Sephirah of Yesod, which links to the Tree of Life. He also plays a prominent part in God's court and is sent when God chooses to answer prayers. He is also described in some Jewish mythology. Gabriel is also said to dip his hands into the treasury of souls, which is linked to the Tree of Life or the Tree of Souls, in Eden, to pass on to another angel for the conception of new life. In the apocryphal or non-canon works, such as Enoch, Gabriel is one of the angels sent to cull the Nephilim, and is described as the third who is set over all the powers is Gabriel, showing his powerful position. Then we move on to Christianity, and in the New Testament, when he first turns up to announce John the Baptist's conception to the seeming barren wife of Zacharias, who ministered in the temple. Curiously, it is also the first line with the mention of a human reaction to angels that remains rather steadfast in angelic lore. And when Zacharias saw him, he was troubled, and fear fell upon him. But the angel said unto him, Fear not, Zacharias, for thy prayer is heard, and thy wife Elizabeth shall bear thee a son, and thou shalt call his name John. Then we get the classic moment in the New Testament when Gabriel comes to see Mary, and once more the trend of reacting to angels. And the angel came in unto her, and said, Hail, thou that art highly favoured, the Lord is with thee, blessed art thou among women. And when she saw him, she was troubled at his saying, and cast in her mind what manner of salutation this should be. And the angel said unto her, Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favour with God. Both of these are from the Gospel of Luke, and alongside Michael and Abaddon, debate on whether he's an angel or not, are mentioned in the New Testament, but not as an archangel. In fact, the New Testament makes a point in Colossians 2:18-19 and Revelations 19:10 that believers should not worship angels. This is always a curious point because there's more belief to angels than for some other aspects of religion. It is then in the Gospel of Matthew that we learn of Gabriel's horn, and his role as the trumpeter to sound the return of the Lord to earth and at the beginning of the end, though Zoroastrianism, Islam and Judaism don't describe this as his set role. Indeed, other passages such as Revelations debate this too, with the concept of 7 angels, so the trope of Gabriel's horn is rather exclusive to Matthew. However, in literature this idea got pulled, including references by Milton in Paradise Lost. For feast days, I recommend you look them up if you're interested, as explaining the changes to church calendars doesn't really have much purpose in my use of Gabriel. Now, moving on to Islam, he is one of the primary archangels and was seen by the Prophet in his angelic splendour only twice. The first when he received his first revelation. He also plays messenger for other early prophets, and is said to have consoled Adam after the fall. He is counted as one of the 3 angels to have informed Abraham of Isaac's birth, and makes his most famous appearance in the Hadith of Gabriel, wherein he questions the Prophet on the core tenets of Islam. Other Islamic texts hold him as a warrior angel, but do not agree with Enoch on Gabriel being involved in the felling of the Nephilim. Gabriel also plays the role of aiding the Prophet to overcome many adversaries, including against the demon and in the Battle of Badr. Don't know if that's pronounced right. He appears to have a much more important role in Islam this way, with a constant presence, whereas in Judaism and Christianity his role is far more rare or perhaps less pronounced. Gabriel is the quintessential benevolent angel for fulfilling the role of the angel messenger, and so for being named he's had a lot of depictions in art, music, literature, and in other media. In Gustav Davidson's A Dictionary of Angels, he covers what I've mentioned already, but also notes 1. He's one of the 2 highest ranking angels. His name refers to God is my strength. Gabriel presides over paradise. He is the ruling prince of the first heaven. He is described by the Prophet as having had 140 pairs of wings. In Jewish legend, he dealt with the death and destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. According to the Talmud, he wielded a sharpened scythe, ready since creation to smite Sennacherib's host. Once again, sorry for pronunciation. He prevented Queen Vashti from appearing naked to King Ahasuerus, so Esther would be elected in her place. Once again, sorry for the bad pronunciation. In Bamberger's Fallen Angels, which is quoted in a Babylonian legend, Gabriel once fell into disgrace for not obeying a command exactly as given and remained for a while outside the heavenly curtain. It's a lot to go through, and to be fair, sometimes it feels like some of it is already common knowledge. But now, let me give you my profile for how Gabriel appears in Beyond the Veil universe. To be fair, they don't have too much of a role, not many appearances so far. But in Cruel Temptations, where they have the role of trying to convince Mastema that Padel has done nothing against the Almighty, and in Hellbound's prologue discussing the creation of the Enforcers under the Almighty's instruction, only to have a rather spiteful and painful experience of being kissed by Lucifer to ensure the bargain. My Gabriel sort of gets the rough end of the stick. So, let's talk about my Gabriel. Okay, name? Gabriel. Position, Archangel, Messenger of God and Guardian of Eden. Stories featured in, thus far, Cruel Temptations and Hellbound. Role. As mentioned above, he is significantly more present in Cruel Temptations. Gender. Agender. I know I just said he in the previous bit, but from now on I'll be using they. Description. Androgynous in human form, always wearing light colours, empty eyes that glow with fire, greyed skin, tall and shining with a sweet and soothing voice that resonates. Though many are shocked by the intense light that announces their arrival or their eyes, they learn that the light is from any light in the living realm, reflecting off a myriad of golden wings that are too many to be truly discerned, and their eyes burn with the words of the Almighty. Realm. Heaven. Abilities. Can travel between realms, uses a scythe to fight demons, enables the truth of words to flow, and protects all sent with messages of peace. Not to mention can speak the word of the Almighty to mortals at times of great joy, and only brings news of great joy. They also bear one of the trumpets to be blown at the end times, but it has no great power other than to pass on a message. Master, the Almighty, though sometimes has to work beneath Michael or Metatron. Personality. Gentle, reassuring, affectionate and kind, though some could say more emotional than should be normal. Gabriel shows only kind things to humans and those born with souls, and believes with compassion that bad things only occur because of demonic influence, and so beckons truth from souls. They once aided in working the soul cycle, and for this they treasure every soul in existence as if they were the aid present at birth for that being. However, when it comes to demons, Gabriel is righteous and steadfast, not permitting them to be in their presence and forcing them down, showing no compassion nor remorse for what are deemed the ultimate traitors. Gabriel's strong sense of justice means they can be judgmental with demons, but with the development of the reformers, they've tried to show more understanding. When Gabriel is around Lucifer, though, this was something noted even in heaven. All composure is gone, and Gabriel will make a fool of themselves at times by always rising to Lucifer's jokes and quips. Relations. Michael. Born third and of the same thought of justice and protection as Michael, the pair share a bond that cannot be severed but has been tested over existence. Gabriel will follow Michael wherever like a faithful little brother, and when Michael reacts, Gabriel can often be the one to calm them. Together they work well ministering heaven, and their minds are in the same place on good and evil, as well as their love of all life. But there is one great aspect they differ greatly over: Lucifer. Gabriel still ponders Michael's wish for their friend to somehow repent and return, something Gabriel knows will never happen, and desires that Michael understand this and not show relief when encountering Lucifer or guilt when witnessing the chaos of the world. Raphael, the angel born after them, and sadly the confidant that gets their ear nagged off. Gabriel and Raphael are best friends in heaven, and they often work together with Gabriel, bringing news to Raphael on where they need to administer healing or where they must stay back. Together the pair identified and confronted the first of the dragon demons and brought news back to the others. The pair have a great understanding between them, as Raphael is also compassionate, and so when they mourn a loss they can mourn together. But often Raphael is the only person that will listen to Gabriel's concerns over Lucifer, mainly because Uriel, Phaneal, Ariel, and Remiel are of the thought that what's happened has happened. Layla. When Gabriel once tended the tree of souls that made up the soul cycle, they worked with Layla, the angel of conception, and would pull up the souls from the cycle that had matured to return to Earth, and in that time got on very well with Layla. Layla is one of the few angels alongside Phaneal, Jophiel, and Ariel that take predominantly female roles, and so for their friendships and work together, Gabriel is often mused as the fifth female, and Layla would often tease they had a more feminine air than Uriel or Michael. Layla encouraged the compassion and nurturing of the soul, and from her Gabriel took on the phrase, "Fear not," whenever encountering humans. Their relationship with Layla is strong, and for it Gabriel always calls her sister. Lucifer. To be truthful, it's Michael's fault. Gabriel followed Michael everywhere, but Michael would follow Lucifer, balancing the other's daring with protecting and always tending to listen to Lucifer's words till the end, not interjecting as Gabriel would, and this tolerance to Lucifer's voice has been Gabriel's fault on the cause of all their troubles. For what occurred between Michael and Lucifer, Michael's immediate concern for rule-breaking meant Gabriel pointed all further blame at Lucifer and would try to prevent their friendship in case of any more daring faults. For pulling Michael away and pushing Belial more to the fore, Gabriel inadvertently aided in darkening Lucifer's heart, and when more came, Lucifer made a real point of claiming a high place in heaven for whoever yanked off Gabriel's wings. The pair even came face to face in the battle, and to Gabriel's shock, they were pushed down and only saved by Michael. Later, Gabriel purposefully refused to inform Lucifer of the time of his punishment, thus condemning the fallen forever rather than just the 1,200 years originally ascribed. Lucifer brings out the worst in Gabriel, a literal sense of self-righteousness. History. We have dealt with a lot already, but let's talk about it as briefly as possible now. Gabriel was the third angel born and brother of thought to Michael. They developed many friendships with the other angels, and when they first were formed, Gabriel's first duty was to pull the soul from the tree and enter it into life before replacing the soul to keep the balance on earth. Gabriel's job altered when Michael and Lucifer learned and expressed gender, accidentally creating the tree of knowledge, and Gabriel chose to guard paradise so Lucifer could not return to Eden and cause more problems. Then, when Lucifer returned with death, Gabriel sent warning to all that Lucifer was going against the Almighty, and when suggested to try gender, Gabriel flatly refused and pulled the other angels around Uriel and Phaneal before the guards of the heavenly gate opened the door to Lucifer, rebelling alongside them, and Gabriel sounded a trumpet for the first time, along with others to alert them to war. Gabriel took a great role in the war, even smashing Moloch down out of heaven into the earth, and then fighting in the air with Beelzebub until their wings remaining could not bear their weight, and they landed upon heaven. Then to battle Astaroth and her son Asmodeus, whom they used their scythe to cull all angelic aspects from the spawn before defeating Astaroth soundly. Then they faced Lucifer and were almost to lose their own angelic nature and become fully human, had Michael not appeared and challenged Lucifer to one-to-one combat and won. At the fall, Gabriel's lost wings were used to create a new seraphim to work with him, and Gabriel was given a new task, protecting Eden from Lucifer at all costs, and sending the word of the Almighty to the world. During this time, Lucifer learnt from Lilith of Gabriel's job, and so sent Asmodee, the serpent, to lead Eve astray. Gabriel was so disheartened that after comforting Adam, decided to withhold the order of the Almighty and refused to tell the fallen of their years of punishment. Instead, Gabriel maintained a steadfast resistance to all demons and obeyed the will of the Almighty, save in delivering the one message. This message kept even more silent when the Watchers disobeyed, and Gabriel informed the Almighty of their deeds, but tried to plead clemency for all but the ringleaders. Gabriel was then tasked with the others to help break the barriers of the world and let the waters fall upon and wash the land. But Gabriel was thankful that they could save some of the souls when they heard some repent and beg for aid, and did so under the Almighty's permittance. After this, the time was up, and Gabriel stepped into hell for the first time to have audience with Lucifer and reveal the original punishment, informing them that time had run out, and thereby condemning Lucifer to hell for never spending every moment in hell praying for forgiveness, and Lucifer went mad. However, upon returning, the Almighty punished Gabriel for their disobedience by forcing them to work in the role of destroyer of various enemies to the Almighty. Gabriel wept for each soul lost, but sobbed their desire for punishment and for being a fool, gained a surprising stroke of kindness from Abaddon the demon, who took the duty for him in apology for all that had been done, but also to place chaos in the hands of the right group and keep balance. It shocked Gabriel, and thankfully they returned to their role as the Lord's messenger for many prophets and figures over the millennia, and never showed such a foolish manner again, until some time after their meeting with the Islamic prophet, when Gabriel was sent with Michael and Uriel to make an offer with Lucifer to control their rambunctious demons, ignoring the rules of the veil and beyond. In this meeting, Gabriel and Lucifer exchanged their usual displeasure before the agreement was made to create the enforcers after Michael spoke to Lucifer aside from them, making Gabriel very frustrated. But to make a deal with Lucifer is to invoke a kiss that caused the damage in the first place, and so, when Michael was willing and Gabriel would of course have been very annoyed at this, Lucifer kissed Gabriel instead, only encouraging their distaste for one another, but making a more powerful deal for the enforcers. Gabriel and the enforcers have a good relationship, for though they are demon-born and have no souls, Gabriel is the one to give them information most often, and finds them eager to listen children. They have a good relationship with one in particular who shows interest in one of his angel underlings. It is one of the few times when Gabriel is not sure on how to proceed with the situation, and cannot prevent their friendship. Gabriel later has various tasks aiding the message of the Almighty to reach people, but as time goes on, they begin to step back and wait for their next order, instead finding the politics amongst younger angels far more troublesome, including the terrible case of Archangel Gabriel and the fallen Zephyr. Final comments. Gabriel is not one of my favourite angels to talk about. Their role in religion is so prominent, perhaps, that I feel there's not much wiggle room. But when I became fascinated by the relationships of the other angels, especially when one text described how Michael beseeched Lucifer not to upset God, I kind of began to see why Gabriel is used more than Michael as an opposite to Lucifer, and it sort of became what it is. Basically, if Lucifer is black, then Gabriel is white. There is no grey between them, and their thoughts are so opposing in their stubbornness that their own discontent is part of the universal balance. That's all I'm going to say now. Writing about Gabriel tends to make my head hurt, and you probably heard it makes me very breathy too. Thank you very much for listening, and of course, thank you to all my Patreons. Bye.